this computer. Right.
Yeah, recording just started.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Poetry LGBT. This special event today is for Childline Pride, and we have a fantastic lineup of performers this evening for you. Before we get into it, let's do a few housekeeping. So each poet has 5 minutes, and that 5 minutes has to include their poem and also to tell you where they can be found on social media, and also to promote any books or any items or anything that they have for sale or things that they've written. I have two co-hosts today. Ben Ellis, give a wave to Ben. And
hello. My
partner, GJ. Yeah. Hang on, if everyone's waving, we don't know who GJ and Ben is. Yeah, so they're my co-hosts. If you have any questions, do message them in the chat, because I'll be so busy trying to make sure everyone else is okay that I probably won't be paying much attention to the chat. Yeah, so the best way to view this event is if you set your laptop on gallery view. So top right hand corner, you've got options. There's speaker view or gallery view. And yeah, gallery view is nicer because you can see everyone. And when each person comes to the stage, I will spotlight them. So if I said, for example, please welcome Chandog to the virtual stage, I will highlight, I'll make sure everybody's muted, and I'll spotlight Chandog. So Chandog will be there on your screens, taking over. And then Chandog will have 5 minutes. Each person has 5 minutes. This is my timer. Yeah, this egg timer. Once they've started, I'm gonna rest it sort of there in the corner of my screen, and they'll be able to look up to see how much time they have left. Most people do keep within the 5 minutes. That's usually the case. Once they've done all their poems, I'd like you to give everyone a massive round of applause, because it's really nerve-wracking sharing our words and just our personal thoughts and feelings in this way. So yeah, it takes a lot of courage to actually come up here and, you know, say your piece. So once they've done their bit, I'm gonna unmute everybody. Yeah, unmute everyone. And then you'll have to accept my request to unmute you. And then we give everyone a massive round of applause. So let's try this massive round of applause out right now while you're unmuted. So, excellent, make as much noise as you want. And then once they're finished, I'm gonna mute everyone again. So the applause comes after they've finished their 5 minutes. Sometimes they will take up the 5 minutes, sometimes they won't. There might be swearing in the poems, there might be triggering content, but each person, if they have any triggering poems, they will give a trigger warning prior to saying their piece. Yeah. To safeguard yourself, it might be a good idea for you to turn down your computer or phone or iPad, tablet, that sort of thing, or leave the room for a couple of minutes until they've once they're finished, then come back in. I think that would be a good way for you to safeguard yourself. Because as a community, the LGBT community, we've all been through a lot, we've experienced a lot, and us creatives who write this stuff down, write down a lot of it, and some of it is triggering. Yeah, so before we start, does anyone have any questions? Let me unmute you so that you can shout out if you have any questions before we start. No, no questions. You're good to go. Okay, right. I'm going to start with my poem. Have I done all the housekeeping bits? So there's 20 people on the list. After about the 10th person, we're going to have a 10-minute break. And usually in this break, you know, we talk to each other or, you know, do what we need to do in those 10 minutes. So, right. So we don't accept any homophobia, biphobia, transphobia, any racism, any of those isms, anything. We don't accept any of it. And with Zoom, if anyone does sort of like cause any offense, then it's easy, innit? Ben or GJ will just ban them from the Zoom. They'll be exited from the Zoom. Right. Yes, it is going to be a fantastic event. I know it is, because it always is. Right, this poem is called I Am Free. Can everyone hear me? Yeah? Thumbs up, yeah? This poem is called I Am Free. I spent my teenage years listening to lyrics like Buju Banton's Boom Bye Bye in a Batty Boy Head. What he's saying is that gay people should be shot in the head. Imagine that. Those lyrics were heard by millions. And in those days, it never made me angry. In fact, I used to dance to it. I could name a few more. T.O.K., Elephant Man, Vibes Cartel. In the 90s, those tunes dominated the dance floor within my bedroom walls. In 1999, I married a man. Was I in denial? Threesome, anyone? Yes, me, him, and she. I came out as a lesbian in 2003. Looking back, all the clues were there. It was just me that couldn't see. People knew I was gay before me. It must have been the way I looked at my friend's auntie, or the way I dressed, or the way that I rebelled by shaving my head, or maybe because I rode a moped. Truth is, I chose not to see. I was too afraid to be true to me. People were too judgmental back then. I cared way too much about what people thought and said. I met a girl who took me to a gay club. Those homophobic tunes were played by the gay DJs in those gay clubs. Like, what a head fuck. People I knew said they liked the beat and ignored the lyrics. I'm not sure exactly why or when something changed, but there was uproar. Buju and other bashment artists were banned. Us gays had taken a stand. Out with that shit. It was no longer acceptable to listen to it. I no longer had to listen to it. They say I'm an activist. It's been a process, all part of the journey. I'm finally free to be who I'm meant to be, loving living this reality within the LGBTQ+ community. My dysfunctional and disjointed family may not be proud of me, but I'm able to maintain my sanity and not let them get the better of me mentally. I'm gonna take a bow because I'm happy now. Freedom to speak my truth makes me free to be me. I am free. Thank you. Woo. So yeah, unmute everyone so I can get a massive round of applause. Excellent. So, Now that we've started, let's get into it. I am going to welcome Polly to the virtual stage. So I'll mute everyone and spotlight Polly and unmute Polly.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I love this time and this space. It's always such a highlight of the week. And thank you, Angina, for that beautiful poem. Really, really good. I've got one today about my grandmother, who was a writer and a poet, but never published anything and was never given the credit that she deserved as an artist. So this is in honor of her. And it's called Olive Sabina Gifford Bull. I wish my name were Sabina, she used to always say. She randomly used versions of her name on different forms, infuriating my dad. Sabina wrote poetry on a loud, clackety typewriter and entered competitions. She won a jet ski and a holiday in Nice after writing a poem about David Hasselhoff. My parents were gifted these awards. Sabina wrote stories that I never read either. Her house with Grandpa in Birmingham was always cold and the kitchen smelled of the gas oven, but it was detached and they were proud. We didn't mind the cold because we lived in California. The bathtub was olive green, and we were given Mars chocolate bars cut up in bowls for breakfast. Bread and water for tea, she would often threaten if we misbehaved. She never followed through, and we loved the occasion of a custard tart, pineapple juice. Her skin was pale and soft as butter as she never went in the sun. Grandma read tarot cards, palms, astrology, and the number of wrinkles on our wrists. She broke her nose in an air raid when all the lights went out. Fear, her greatest enemy. Grandma had to leave school at 14 to look after her siblings. Sabina was a writer and a poet. Nothing survives of her writing. I wish my name were Sabina. And that's all for me today. Thank you, everyone.
Where can we find you, Polly?
Yes, Polly E. Bull Polly E. Bull on Instagram and Twitter, all one word. And I've also got the zine that Andrina mentioned that is in support of mental health. It's raising money for suicide prevention, and there's a bunch of poems and artwork in here that was done through collaboration. So if you're interested, I'll put the details in the chat. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Can we get another massive round of applause for Polly? Excellent. Next, I'm going to call to the virtual screen Stanley.
Hi, everyone. For my set, I'm going to do two poems. And the first one, I should give a brief trigger warning. It kind of references different traumas, so kind of abuse, but ultimately it's kind of overcoming that. And it's called Ode to Healing, and it's inspired by the characters in the film The Perks of Being a Wallflower. As Charlie, I lay starfish on the cold snow, head pressed in deep, cold snaps all over, amber noise fading into the background. I give myself over to the numbness, surrender to the silence, don't fight it. How I feel both sad and happy, frozen, although very much alive. I save myself, choose myself, accept myself, and stop accepting love I do not deserve. As Patrick, I am purple and bruised, face puffed up like a balloon, in this moment invisible to you. The silence hits harder than fists do, crumpled in shapes, battered, bruised. Perhaps terror and screams sound cool. If he knows the truth, then who are you? Now Charlie comes to the rescue. I grieve myself to find myself, question myself, and stop accepting love I do not deserve. As Sam, I embrace this heartbreak and don a crown of least resistance. Make me infinite. Watching you break hearts, crack whips, remold, place plaster casts on broken hearts, fixed till they are mended, chipped but mended. You want someone who is delicate and supple until you get it. I love myself, accept myself, rebuild myself, and stop accepting love I do not deserve. Thank you. And the second one, I'm going to just dive straight in, keeping to time, is called I Smell Like Popcorn. And it's just a little, this kind of hopeful thing I wrote last year, but I always think it's a great way of ending like a set. And I smell like popcorn. I remind you of a smell, resplendent, similar to your past. I remind you of the nostalgia of a sunny day, Pebble Beach, and salt and vinegar chips. I'm your afternoon treat, after a trip to the pictures, before a midnight boogie. I give you that warmth you need, that sense of home, that reminder that you are not alone, holding my hand down the winding road. You said, I smell like popcorn. It smells so good. It smells so inviting. Popping kernels in a white flame as the oil burns, a chemical reaction takes place. This image locked in your memory, popping up, readying your path to lead as I lead you into that familiar sense of home. Pretty box, yours blue stripes, mine the ribbons you gave me. If I smell like popcorn, then I remind you of a home away from home, a home where you are not alone, a home where you can be at home with me. I hold you close to my memory, building sandcastles, sand grains on our palms, sand in between our toes, playing bucket and spades in the rock pools, crabs flittered by. If I smell like popcorn, then I'm your sense of home, and you are my sunshine and bright blue skies. Thank you all. If you want to see social media, it's Stanley_writes on Instagram, and Twitter, it's Write Stanley for some reason. But thank you.
Woo! Woo! Amazing! Thank you, Stanley. Next, I am going to call. So I see everyone's using the chat, which is really good. There's lots of support in there, lots of lovely comments. So the chat feature. Do put where we can find you in the chat as well. Excellent. Next, I'm going to call to the virtual screen Milla van der Have. Milla van der Have.
Yes. Thank you very much. Good evening from the Netherlands. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I want to read you 2 poems tonight because I really want to stay within my 5 minutes. The first poem I'm just going to read, and the second poem I'd like to share my screen so you'd be able to read the words along with me. But I'm going to start with the first one, It's a poem about the first time I had a romantic connection with a girl and all the confusion that entailed. And it's called Womb. The smell of you, that's what she said, as she felt up my purple scarf, new and already borrowed. It must have been a few weeks after we shared a kiss, an only kiss. When we stumbled into arms and outside of us, there was nothing but fiery drums and youth. So much remains unknown when you're 18, the passing of rains, like long wilting fingers that crawl your skin to unravel, reveal the light of what you are, the madness. One moment we were lost and whole, ourselves but not ours. The next I returned to what had been before, me, a lover, resurrected not from the womb, but pieced together stitch by stitch, with cotton filling for the gaps, the loss of heart. The smell of you. We stood on a parking lot, the moon rising over a sea of cars, or perhaps it was empty, who knows these things. She handed back the scarf that by now was strange and no longer mine, and I, reluctant to accept what I couldn't recognize. Well, now I'm gonna try and share my screen because I was really sort of interested to explore all the possibilities we have with this new medium. So I made you a presentation for my next poem. It's called Give Me 1,000 Faces and I'll Wear Them All. And this poem is based on the work of Joseph Campbell, who wrote about the hero's journey. That's a structure underlying narrative. And the hero's journey really centers on men. So I tried to write one, the hero's journey for girls. So it's called Give Me 1,000 Faces and I'll Wear Them All. Some girl lost, some girl other, some girl mistaken, some girl adjacent, some girl fur, some girl touched, some girl untouched, some girl meaningful, some girl splayed, some girl shipwrecked, some girl rabbit-faced, some girl moist, some girl nocturnal, some girl swaying in the wind, some girl a hanged god, some girl pining, some girl harvest, some girl again and again, some girl two-headed, leering, some girl a flagship, some girl finding the path, some girl spiral, some girl changing mysteries, some girl has high-rise living, some girl flattened like paper, like paradise, some girl on the map, some girl reloaded, some girl with some girl heart-shaped, some girl bones, some girl confessing, some girl trapped with a soul, some girl organic, some girl running foul, some girl with eyes of honey, some girl sore, some girl hunting call, some girl come morning, some girl cash flow, some girl in the system, some girl herself, some girl rain dancing, some girl flower bed, some girl parlay, some girl fearsome, some girl trapped, some girl misreading, some girl writing some girl a song, some girl missing, the gentlest, the earliest, some girl winning, some girl straining, some girl a math, some girl a letdown, some girl a believer, some girl moonshine, some girl, no matter what. So that was the second poem. Thank you.
Wow, where can we find you? Miller van der Haaf.
I'll put it in the chat. I'll put up my Twitter and Facebook on the chat. Thanks.
I love that we can use social media to do that.
Okay, good.
Not social media, the internet, to be able to interact with each other like this.
It's wonderful.
Price feature is shit. And when I took it to Apple to
hello, what's happening? I'm gonna mute everyone. Mute. Right. I think we just heard someone's whole conversation there. Yes. So, wow. There's so many pros and cons, isn't there? There are pros and cons. You couldn't do that in a live event, could you? Just like have an excellent presentation like that. Can we have another massive round of applause for Miller van der Haaf? Next, I'm going to call to the stage Nadia Earlham. Nadia. Wave at me, Nadia.
Unmute. Hello. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Great. All right. So my name is Nadia. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I love doing this, and I love listening to other people's poems. They've all been amazing so far. So my first poem is called Static Vision. Squinting but not telling in such a clear but marble space. Seeing the walls, the floors, acting, back, grounding. It's raining on my glasses, dropping black specks, darting at me, opposing normal vision. Pixels, the tiny turning parts. They're usually multicolored and invisible, breathing hearts. The multicolored segments, they turn and they click. Citing televisions, boxed off as my sensual summits. And as this train stills to a slow, squeaking, grinding halt, I realize I'm in a familiar space of tired discomfort. I listen to the slow, grungy churning, the gorgeously grotesque clashing of rhythms and sounds which are solidifying how I feel. Exhausted from a day of being productive, now the color has been squeezed out of me and I'm temporarily rusting from the citying, blasted and battered from blooming. I sit in this tiredness and watch the sparkly orange city stars. I was speeding, but now I am a stalled ship. I am resting, recharging and reflecting. And I ponder, how can I maximize my potentials, my previous moments, as life seems to be speeding up, stretched unevenly, exponentially, like the universe, like the world's technologies, its knowledges, forms of transformation keep nudging and appearing, revolutionizing my action, my thinking. These malleable dreams, they stream through. And you wouldn't believe me if I told you, but I would tell you anyway, because we are already in fantasy. I finally spread out the time. I need to fish through hundreds of bright layers, clicking, controlling through screens, finding what I need, what I want. Mind wired correctly, temporarily, forced to function at maximum capacity, present intent streaming through whilst my hands and wrists are aching, plugged in unto technology, kept back by biology, humming to mind blending tunes that put me back in my rightful place. We have been gifted physical form to manifest physical things, to create, to change. And sometimes I feel awkward being in a body, but without bodies, we wouldn't have personal histories. We couldn't create, manifest, make the changes we need in these times. And what times are these? What times indeed? Looking at the news is bad enough. If only positivity bias was more conducive to our survival. Perhaps it is. Perhaps that's where we've got it wrong. I guess my honest spillage means I can sing and jump and spin as I'm smashing and mashing myself. My threads like clockwork turn from sick disjointed shapes and sticks into smooth liquid. It's akashic. It's turning into spinning golden swirls that I can manipulate, that I can twist, knit and weave. I realize that I'm suddenly tuned in and that I'm in a much more familiar form of frequency. Yet it's so hard to keep up with all the interventions, all the drama they want me to be a part of. Despite all my disinterest, they are still persisting. The media, the yelling communications, the constant beeps for my attention, my energy sapping and my lightened flame is flickering. All the input, attempts to grasp and outputs. Without much more thought, I jump off the boat into the ice cold. Smashing the surface, I dive straight down. And sometimes it's relentless. Regardless, we can still craft our safety net to learn, to evolve and try our very best. I want to use as many tools as possible so I can elaborately exist like I want to. When I feel the shrouds of doubt, I remember, here we are, disproving ourselves. Stopped, hit by recognition. I thought you were a friend, but you were just my muse instead, an inspiration, starstruck, and I'm just lucky to meet you. Unfazed by my clumsy words. How lucky I am for all these connections. They light up in my mind like a Christmas tree. These positive relationships keep shining till they make their own constellations. These connections feel like a form of vital nutrition. When I naturally struggle, when that is mirrored, acknowledged by my friends, I feel all the shame disappear. I feel strong enough to keep going. And these relationships that strengthen us, they need to be honored and they need to be cared for. That's the first one. Ta-da. Thank you very much.
Like Summers, like, so the Bahamian thing is like
Massive round of applause.
Right. So like, basically, so like, Bahamian vacation is always in Florida. When you go to Florida, when you go to Florida, and obviously this is a capital.
Someone's in Florida having a lovely.
When you come live from Nassau.
I'm gonna mute him now. It's fine.
Angina, you're muted.
Wow, I think we just heard a full-blown conversation. Nadia,
do I have
5 minutes are up.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Massive round of applause for Nadia.
Thank you.
I'm going to spotlight you for 1 second, Nadia, just so that you can tell everybody where you can be found.
Yes. So I've got an Instagram page called nadias.poetry, and then I'll put it in the chat.
Excellent. Thank you. Can we have another massive round of applause? Those 5 minutes go so quickly. I was waving the timer. I was frantically going like this, but yes, we were all just listening and enjoying your words. So yeah, thank you. Next, I am going to welcome to the virtual stage PJ Samuels. PJ, I might not be able to spot.
Hello. Oh, I need to do that.
Yep, and then I can spotlight. Go for it, PJ.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to a corner of my bedroom. Hi. First, let me invite you to breathe with me. In for 3, out for 3. 1, 2, 3. Hold. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Welcome for everyone into this space, taking your energy, taking your communion, taking everything that you brought. I appreciate you. Nadia had a line in their poem, community conducive to our survival. I'm not sure if I'm quoting it directly, but it was there in some form of that. Today's event is for Childline. In this time of lockdown, we know that children generally do not have agency. And there are a lot of children that are trapped in really horrible situations, whether it's just coercive and without freedom, because freedom meant going to school, freedom meant being able to play outside, to straight up abusive, whether it's just from that pressure of being trapped inside. And Childline is a sort of a line. So I invite you to contribute as much as you can. The link to donate is in the chat. So while I poet, feel free to go ahead and do your best and be as generous as you're moved to be. And I appreciate whatever you do. Rubber contracts when heated. Most materials expand when heated. Rubber does just the opposite, it contracts. This occurs because heat causes the molecules to become tangled with each other. Dear black girl, some days your skin will feel like rubber under heat. It will feel constricted and all your internal organs will hurt. Live. Go to bed. Sleep. Moisturize. Drink water. Step away from the noise. Retreat. Take as long as you need, but live. You belong in this world. All of your amazing didn't happen by accident. Call a friend, call a hotline, go for a walk, dance, live. You are here by divine decree, and you deserve a space in this world. You're not choosing this turmoil, this heat, this entanglement of your bones. It is handed to you at birth. A reward for the body you were born in, a war against your glorious. You cannot lose. Even when you don't feel like it and you know this war was never yours, you cannot lose. You hear me, girl? Eat cake. Don't eat cake. What I mean to say is you choose. What I really mean is choose you. You were never meant to survive, but you did. You're a testimony, a holy revival. Black girl, live. Thank you.
Wow, PJ, I felt that one. Yes, as PJ rightly said, all proceeds donated to this event will be donated to Childline. Usually the PayPal money and the OutSavvy money goes to me, into my back pocket, for putting the time in to create such a wonderful space for our community. And today I am donating it to Childline. Oh wow, okay, that gets a round of applause. Can we have another round of applause for PJ Samuels, please?
My Instagram is at PJ Samuels Poet, as listed in my name.
Excellent. I'm going to mute everyone while we welcome to the virtual stage Missa Blue.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, I was a little bit worried about the theme Childline because I didn't realize that this was the day, but I know it's okay. But I changed my poem to something that I haven't really done very often because the poem is made out of phrases I've been told as a child and as a teenager over and over again. And I kind of feel this is probably what fits most right now into this theme. And also I've got this drum which I got last week and I only used it once, so it's going to be a complete improvisation. And I also want to issue a trigger warning. And all my poetry at the moment, I talk a lot about racism, so it's not going to be like super hardcore, but I just wanted to mention that eventually there might be a trigger. All right, here we go. You are special. You are so beautiful. What are you? What are you? That's only in your head. Are you mulatto? Are you mulatto? Are you mulatto? Mulatto macchiato? You don't seem so aggressive. I am so sorry for your hair. So sorry. So sorry for your hair. It's nice to be around you, but you are too ambitious. Are you mulatto? Are you mulatto? Mulatto macchiato. Are you mulatto? Don't be so oversensitive. You are so beautiful. Are you a witch? Are you a witch? You are so beautiful. You can't be my girlfriend. You know, I don't like you like that. I just don't feel that way for you. Ride me really hard and wild. But you can't be my girlfriend. I just don't feel like that for you. Are you mulatto? Are you mulatto? Are you mulatto? Mulatto? Mulatto macchiato? Are you? What are you? What are you? Your skin is so soft. I don't feel that way for you. But I am. What are you? But I don't see color. I don't see color. I don't see color. I don't see color. I never seen any color. But I am black. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Blue, where can we find you?
I'm Mr. Blue, like my name on Instagram. And I wanted to say, like, Andrina, your first poem today really inspired me, because I was thinking I actually never written anything about being a queer Black woman or being gay or lesbian or anything. I think I didn't even reach that point yet. Like, everything I write is like about racism, because it's so much to process. But yeah, it really inspired me to write a little bit more about how I feel as a queer woman. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your words. Can we have another massive round of applause for Mr. Blue? Yeah, it's really important, isn't it, to write? I found it really therapeutic. I found it so therapeutic over the years, because, yeah, that I Am Free poem is about, yeah, just explaining. It's sort of evolved over the years as well, because I wrote it about 4 years ago and it was much shorter, and I was thinking more about my experience about coming out. So I just added to it, because I remember I kind of went back to that young person in my bedroom and just really thought about it. And yeah, it's deep. It's deep, man. Deep. So let's move on to Paul Lepper. Let's unmute Paul and spotlight.
Great. I've got 3 poems to share today, so I'm just going to go straight into it. The first one is called Inner Light Pathfinder. Hi. Sometimes I get sad. I don't know why. So I search my brain for reasons to cry. Ashtray heart. Where should I start? Make it rain, you got pain, explain. Don't abuse. You got too much to lose. Choose a rose when you're asked to compose. My heart is not your voodoo. Does that confuse you? Stuck full of tiny jewel-tipped pins. Am I due lost now soon, after multiple wins? But I think about it all the time. I don't say what though, because it doesn't rhyme. That's not what I mean. No one gets out of this life squeaky clean. You ain't got much if all you do is dream. I wanted the cat, but now I've got the cream. So, what? Sometimes I get sad. I'm not gonna blame it all on my dad. I'm not ashamed to cry. I feel, this ain't the Matrix, this is the real. Take all the world's problems and pile them in a heap. It's too much, I'd rather mine keep. I am today the result of every choice. Both bad and good, they forged my voice. I like myself, and I like you. No, I don't wish I was anyone else. It's true. And if being proud's a crime, I say it loud and keep it with mine. My second poem is called Beyond the Mirror. If you're never bored, how do you know joy? Without the suspense, where's the fun in unwrapping the toy? Why do you sigh? Is it for all the good times that pass you by? It's no lie. I'd rather try. I'd rather stay and cry than run for the door and say goodbye. It's the momentum of moments between the hours. It's the repetition of rhymes and rhythms that grows my flowers. The world's going to heck. I search for the sweet spot on your neck. Apocalypse? No. The pain of breaking their flow. A new world's just being born. Revolution, respect. I hope it's like Trek. Frustration at the state of the nation. All things must pass, the times they are changing. Day by day, the waters weather the mountains away. Come on up for the raising. How can the world be saved if there's nothing worth saving? For a place in the barn of the future, the practice of a universal culture. For the love of equality, kill the vampire vulture. How can you learn if you're too close off to be confused? So sure, petty and proud, the mind that you misuse. Walking like a bomb down lockdown streets, blaming others for the murders you repeat. I am stardust. I am the brown side of golden. I am human. I am beholden. Too much matter to mind, too much minded to matter. I hold this crystal to the moon for guidance, then shamefully let it shatter. Sat here, the wind in my ear. What is life but a series of victories against strife? Questions, reflections. What is fear but a reason to hold you near? Your hand in my hand, the face in the special place beyond the mirror. And my last poem is not by me, it's written by my husband Gareth, and it's called Eyes. E-Y-E-S. Everything you ever see. Years on years, up and down, my path alight by the moon's grace. All the money I spend, pennies and pounds, everything you ever see. Tears and fears, hopes and frowns. My bathwater is hot as I splash it upon my face. All the honey of flowers spread in bounds. Everything you ever see. Birthdays and holidays full of fun. Singing and laughing all day long. Births and deaths, watching each hair on my chest. Everything you ever see. Bright days and holy days, call home to speak to mum. Dancing and crying with each passing song. Brothers and sisters fighting and loving. They're the best. Everything you ever see. Parents and hubby fill my heart with glee. Craft and movies on the TV. Each day, a holiday ready for me. Thank you.
Where can we find you, Paul?
You can find me on allpoetry.com under Pablo Rouge, and also on YouTube under Pablo Rouge as well. Thank you. I'll put that in the chat as well.
Yeah, please put that in the chat. Massive round of applause for Paul Lepper. Come on. One last little bit. Come on. You don't get this with digital, do you? Look. Come on. Here we go. About 3, 2, 1. Next, we are going to call to the virtual screen Hayden Strawbridge. Wave at me, Hayden. Oh, I can't see Hayden. Okay. Unmute yourself, Hayden.
Hi everyone, it's great to be here and it's great to perform with some talented poets. I'm going to read about 3 poems. My first one's called Edgy Selfish Platitudes, and it's about the time I got stuck in London and had to sleep on the streets for a bit until I got the train back. So this is called Edgy Selfish Platitudes. The metro used to fuel Tory pride, staffed by the makeshift bed of a Portuguese idealist, now used to fuel the warmth of the forgotten. Uncomfortable words, inconvenient truths. Another eyesore on the daily commute. Faces shift away. Avoidance the best strategy. The glimpse of humanity sparked around a pile of burning newspapers. A simple invitation through chattering teeth. Fancy sharing my warmth? Thank you. The next poem I'm going to read is called Beautiful Resonance, and it was inspired by a gig I went to, and the powerful hold music can have on someone. Okay, Beautiful Resonance. Just as the fading light pierces the warm-coloured glass, it shimmers over hands taut with concentration, moving as if floating over the blur of black and white keys in a way that flurries quickly, yet maintains elegance. As the first notes reverb beautifully, like waves of light, the slim pianist, once statue-like, suddenly full of emotive power of music, passionate expression flowing through him. I smile at the pleasure of making music. A cello player gleaming starts up. The 2 sounds twist and turn in harmony. Then the handsome pianist sings and it slows down. In that moment, I feel content. People doing what they love. The sounds created out of a multitude of passions, colliding together in an elegant soundscape, similar to a visual landscape of beauty. My smile widens as the resonance continues to stir. The deep-set emotion that we are taught to hide, yet music always finds the key. For this moment, I am elsewhere. All my worries and problems flee. Far away from me and far away from the beautiful resonance created in simple harmony. Thanks. The next poem I'm going to read is called Drowning of the Keen. Footsteps I used to soar, now broken and faded by the front door. The handle wouldn't turn, all the excitement and belief was trapped and about to burn. I used to try, but these days I just cry. Eager actions turn to cynical words. Pure passion-filled determination decays to blind aggression. How can we unite if everyone is fighting a slightly different fight? The water rises and our energy fades like the light. The manic splashes of a naive turn to the stillness of the bereaved, the drowning of the keen. Okay, and I've got one or 2 more, depending on the time. This one is called, this one is called The Day Me and the Italian Shared Our Freedom. And it's about when I was in Italy and I first accepted who I was. Rays of sun spread across Piazza Garibaldi. I am full of emotion. Nerves, excitement, all overflowing as I cross the Ponte. Banners are flying all around me. For my self-acceptance? I imagine it's so. Crowds always forming around the the piazza, a historic day for a nation. Could it also be historic for me? Possibly. Breathing slowly, I arrive at my destination, the park. I jerk my head in paranoid observations. Everyone was watching me. There's still time. I could escape. Enjoy another day alone to my thoughts. No, too late. He spotted me. I see the nerves that I can feel etched over his face. Ciao, Luca. I'm gonna stay. Thanks. Do I have time for one more? Right, I'll do one more. Words equal power, power equals hope. It is time to speak up. This time as one. Unite for the rebirth of kind humanity. The shoots of hope break through the once barren earth. The power of all our voices is immense. Everyone uttering the same message in unison. We shall never be silenced. So if you are reading this poem and your heartbeat matches the rhythm of equality, join us in the creation of a kinder, more empathetic community. Let's build this world anew. No more can we be dictated to by a bigoted few. Our voices won't be silenced. The uplifting noise of many feet marching as one stops the pathetic whimper of a few ignorant bigots. Change is coming no matter what. The future is equality. Thanks.
Well done, Hayden.
Hayden, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at hstrawbridge. That's yeah, and I'll put it all in the chat, and I've got a website I'll put in the chat as well. Thanks for
Excellent, thank you. Quick, before you go, where are you dialing in from? I was just looking at your background.
I'm actually I'm actually in France. I'm at my grandma's house in France, and if you can see, there's like mountains and stuff.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so yeah, I'll probably be stuck here because by the time I have to get back, it'll be locked down everywhere again. But I mean, it's not a bad place to be stuck, I suppose.
Sure.
It looks lovely. Thank you. Can we get another massive round of applause for Hayden Strawbridge?
Cheers.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Next, we are going to call to the virtual screen. Dun, dun, dun. Jova. Jova. Jova, Jova, Jova. Wave at me, Jova. Jova.
Hey.
Go for it.
All right, hiya. My name is Jova, as you might know. I'm a musician and a poet, and I'm gonna do a couple of poems for you today. So, trigger warning for this first one, some mentions of violence and slurs. So this poem is called Faggot. He came to me one day with veins popped, slamming me into the neighborhood sidewalk, strangling me intimately, telling me he had been made for me. Every one of his kisses left a bruise that I would hide with the makeup of my mind, hoping they would heal again before we met again, before he killed me again. I saw him on the screen in living rooms and friends' houses, and he talked dirty till I bled. And he told me I would never be free, and I thought that he was right. I remember the devil himself watching from behind, hoping I would lose my mind, eager to push him further. Now that I think about it, that may have been God. One day I escaped across the sea where he could not reach me, and hid away, recovering strength, hoping to recover peace. Years passed before the return, and our paths crossed once more, but this time I came looking for him first. He never saw me coming. My fingers slammed against his neck, and he let out a strangled cry. Then I threw him into the pyre and watched him burn alive. From his ashes grew a tree, and its fruit bore his name. He can never truly die, but at least now we can start again. That was that poem. The next one is a little bit lighter, I suppose. It's called Automaton. Automaton. Evolution in the age of RNA and synthesized tissues that vie for survival in times of disconnection and reconnection. Marianne's descendants now live on the spires, informatic birds with digital goals. Their ribs now protect terabytes and light up at night. They have lost the taste of sleep. Sylvia's children have returned to the sea, and their hands have remembered the way of fins. They sing to each other every day, leaving the sounds of land and violence behind. Takeshi's family had gone into the woods and grew their roots long and deep. You can occasionally see them from the stratosphere. They have photosynthesized their own peace. Hans never had any offspring. He never wanted them. He was at Stockholm when it happened. Now he roams the earth on his tall spindle fingers, looking for a place to sleep. As for my children, who will they become? One day, they will no longer be human. Automaton defines the new age, and we will be new once again. So that was Automaton. I just got one last poem and a trigger warning. There's a lot of mentions of violence. It's about immigration and the struggles of being an immigrant. So yeah. Violence to the immigrant, bastard son of a nation run down into dust. To the arrogant father who believes his right to provide trumps right to genocide. To the hijabi woman who only felt love for her sisters. To the farmer whose lands now only cultivate minds. Violence to he who speaks of justice and showers with affection. To the ex-revolutionary who is quite frankly just tired. To the woman escaping narco chains and switchblades, to a slanted eye and soft jawline. Violence deserves the family of three, costing us money, willingly sacrificed to the economy, and the little girl they left behind who speaks with hegemonic slang as a second-class citizen. Violence to the asylum seekers who once heard talk about Western values. Violence to seek holy men who have devoted their lives to peace. Violence to those who took fate into their own hands, the exiled birds from the south, threatened with death for daring to return to their ancestral nest. Violence to the refugees whose homes were wiped off the map with a drone strike. Further violence if they have angry eyes. A simple thank you would suffice. Violence to the unviolent. May their sins be judged accordingly. If you didn't want to end up this way, you really should have joined a paramilitary death squad or a missionary cause or a UNICEF campaign or an oil corporation or the CIA. You really should have just gotten a passport. Thank you.
Where can we find you? Jova, where can we find you?
So I'm on Facebook and Instagram as Jova and the Wave. I'll put it on the chat. It's mostly music, but I do poetry there too.
And where are you dialing in from?
I'm in Manchester.
Manchester.
Yeah.
Cool. Can we get another massive round of applause for Jova? Those of you who are muted, if you're clapping at home by yourself, we can't hear you. So yeah, unmute yourself and join the clapping if you can. I get it, you know, it's difficult. It really is difficult because even with Zoom, you know, we live in places where it's, you know, it could be quite difficult circumstances, isn't it? So I get it. If your phone's on mute or your video's off, your camera's off, all that, I totally get it. Because just because, you know, we're LGBT, it doesn't mean we're LGBT at home. And you know, some of us are using our earphones and things like that, so that family can't hear what we're saying. So yeah, I get it. There's lots of pros and cons to Zoom, but I actually love that we can connect with so many people all over the world and just have that sense of community. It's really nice, especially in a time like during a pandemic, you know. It's a really difficult time for a lot of us, and at least we have each other here on the first and third Sunday of every single month. So next, I am going to call to the virtual screen. Let's check my clipboard. Justin Alvarez. Justin. Hang on. I just need to unmute Justin. Why can't I see Justin? Wave at me, Justin. There you are.
Hi. Greetings from Costa Rica, by the way. So I have 3 pieces that I would like to read to you. I hope I don't take more than 5 minutes. So the first one is called, oh, by the way, trigger warning, all of them are related to mental health issues. And yeah, so it's anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts. So the first one is called He Forgot for a Minute. My dad loves me. He just forgot for a minute when he knew I liked a boy. And when that boy had a name, he forgot for a minute when he was punching me in the face when I was barely 13. He forgot just for a minute. My dad loves me. He just forgets for a minute every now and then, like the time he said I should do my best to leave the meds, the ones I need to remain stable. My lover loved me. He just forgot for a minute, leaving questions behind that sometimes torment me, leaving triggers that result in an anxiety attack, triggers as simple as words like teeth, dentist. He used to love me. He just forgot for a minute. I still find it funny how the name of the guy when I was 13 is the same name of the lover when I was 23, but I haven't had a minute to forget it. I still taste that name on my mouth as if it still were July 30th, and for another minute, I still get to be forgotten. That's the first one. The second one, it's called On Planning. Yeah, I still do. I am a planner. I have planned many things. I planned what to do, what not to do. I even planned things that I end up never doing, like killing myself. I have planned it so many times. I already know the structure, the path, how to start. I've seen the beginning so many times. The mere idea is now home, a place known so well. I made it comfy and cozy. It's a refuge from storm. But I still get there when it's already too dark, when everything else seems already out of place. As a good writer, you'll need to answer some simple questions. Who, whom, why, what, how, where, and when. The first one and the second one are too easy, I and me. Why? Because why not? I'm already too much to care even more. Then we get to the difficult questions. What and how? Should I hang myself or bleed me to death? Should I take an overdose or should I consume some poison? And then I find myself Googling out how much mercury do I need to die? And the answer is more than I expected. It's just too much to not make it look suspicious when I buy one too many mercury thermometers at the grocery store. And I Googled it. Shouldn't Google be like adding ads on how to not kill myself? But I guess empathy is too much to ask from an AI, a computer, or big corporations. Then where? I can't do it at home. The value of the house will decrease by a lot. I can do it in some weird forest. Money will be spent on looking for me because that's the only time they'll be looking for me once I'm gone. I can't jump in front of a train. People are either going to be late for work or they want to go home, and some jackass made the day even longer. I don't want to be known as that jackass. Now location is an issue, and when I cannot do it around the important days like Christmas and St. Valentine's, neither birthdays. And the more people I know and seem to care, the less days I have free to die. The more people I know, the less days I have in my agenda to die, because that day they may have already asked me to go out for a coffee. And do I still have time for one more? I believe. Okay. This is a toast. Perfect. Yeah, I think. This is a toast for the guy who replied to my anonymous post asking what was wrong. And when I replied, I have bipolar disorder, he could still find more words to remind me I seem to be cursed. For the dude who didn't understand that when I said I can't deal with interpersonal relationships because I only see people leaving, and could only say that I was being dramatic and overlooked at my history and borderline personality disorder. For those who swear my depression could go away by taking more risks, leaving the house like I hadn't wished to leave the house, but the metal curtain over my chest is the same sheet I used to cover at night. For those who tell me they are anxious when something happens, but disregard my anxiety when nothing takes place, when I hear the honk of a car and I don't see my body there lying on the street, when I am parked inside an Uber and all I think of is the car behind us will hit us. Yet this is a toast. This is a toast in my honor because my grist still tell the story that I have battled enough, because my tears are nothing but my way to say I'm not doing well, but I could do well tomorrow, because my arms still find people whom to hug, because I struggle, but I still stand in the end. This is a toast to ever love me.
Oh.
Oh. It's heavy, isn't it? It's heavy. What we have to share is so heavy. It's just a lot. I like what PJ did. I think this is a perfect time to breathe. Let's do what PJ did, some breathing. Let's breathe in on 3. How did you do it, PJ? Let's get everyone to breathe in really deeply and out. I think they said in for 3, 1, 2, 3, and out for 3. Wow. Yeah, I needed that deep breath because that's a lot. That was a lot. We have a lot. We have a lot to deal with, to go through, to explain, to write about. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I'm gonna hit you with a heavy one right now. It's called child abuse. So there's bare trigger warnings here right now. But did Justin Alvarez get a massive round of applause?
Where can we find you?
Thank you.
So I'm usually not that active. I usually just write things in Spanish about like weird stuff, but my Instagram is JALVZAM. I pronounce it Halvzam. It's there in my name, but I'll also write it in the chat. And sometimes I write poetry and other stuff. If you like me, you can DM me and I'll send you other stuff.
Thank you, Justin. Oops, sorry, I just unmuted you by accident. I think someone was saying something.
I said maravilloso. Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias a ustedes.
What language was that, Lantern?
Español.
Oh, okay. Gracias. 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 All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Private chat in the chat. How about that? Right, seriously, this poem's got some serious trigger warnings, yeah? Some serious trigger warnings. So protect yourself, mute your laptop, leave the room. It's about child abuse. I wrote it sometime last year after, not sometime last year, sometime this year. It was actually on the 20th of May during the pandemic, because it got me thinking, the pandemic got me thinking about loads of children. And you know, children have escaped, don't they? They escape to school from abusive homes and stuff. And where schools are closed, they haven't got that escape. So it got me thinking about child abuse, the child abuse that I experienced. So I wrote about it. All children are precious. Their little hearts, body and minds are precious. To the ones whose innocence were taken away from an early age, I hear you. It happened to me too. I believe you. What happens in the dark, in the night, or at any time will eventually come to light. It takes time. Young child, what can we do to help you right now? You probably don't have all the words to articulate what's happening to you, but it's child abuse. It's disgusting. It sickens my stomach to know that you are hurting. My fragile body at 5 was scarred. I empathize and know that what you're going through right now is hard. People who hurt us make life more challenging for us. I can't make any promises to you, but what I can say is that life doesn't have to be this hard. Though it will be hard to find people to trust. This situation is extremely tough. This pandemic has taken its toll on all of us in different ways. I wish I could save you. We all need to look deep inside to see what's happening behind closed doors. For me, it happened at home. The place that's meant to be safe and secure was the place where my virginity was taken away. Young child, I want to help you. So many barriers prevent us from helping you. Someone needs to save you. It doesn't matter what anyone in your future says, you are brave. Courage comes in many forms. You are courageous. Something needs to be done to help you now, but how? Thank you. So yeah, that was yeah, deep. I think it's time for a break. Definitely time for a break. So keep that applause going. In fact, what I'm going to do is name out all the names, call out all the names of all the people we've heard from so far. We still have 10 people more to go. Lantern, hang on, don't clap just yet. Let me get to the end of the names and then we can all do a massive round of applause, yeah? So far we've heard from Polly, Stanley, Miller van der Hav, Nadia Earlham, PJ Samuels, Missa Blue, Paul Lepper, Hayden Strawbridge, Jova, Justin Alvarez, and myself. Can we all get a massive round of applause, please? Thank you. Wow. Thank you. It's a lot. We have a lot going on. We have a lot. Each of us have our stuff. We have our baggage. We have our stuff. And layer that on top of being gay and all that. It's a lot. We have a lot. But yeah, we have to be strong and resilient, and we have to be courageous. We have to be, yeah, getting through every single day, dealing with the stuff that we have to carry. And yeah, it's good that we have events like this and Insight Poetry. That's also another LGBT poetry event. Gee, I can hear you snacking.
Sorry.
You're making so much noise.
Wait, sorry.
Yeah, Insight Poetry is another wonderful LGBT poetry space that we have, and they're online as well. So yeah, I'm just going to pause the recording. So unmute yourselves and tell us where you're signing in from, because while we're taking this quick break for 10 minutes, it's a good opportunity to just check in and catch up with you.
I was about to say that I wanted to make everyone jealous who is in the northern hemisphere, because I am in Costa Rica, but now I just remember that it's summer up there. But yeah,
There's no
I'm
summer in
from
England.
Costa Rica. Yeah, it's raining.
There's no summer in England, man.
There is a little bit of sun in England. In London, it's been hot.
Though.
Yeah, pretty hot today. That's not bad.
Yeah, I'm on Club Common. It's lovely.
I don't know. I'm from Colombia and I miss it because this is not summer to me.
Colombia.
It's so interesting that wherever we are in the world, we always end up talking about the weather.
Well, it's just a UK thing, man.
Yeah, so do I. I thought it was a UK thing as well. I thought it was a very British thing. If you ain't got much to say, let's say, oh, how's the weather? But we have lots to say. And it is interesting, actually, the weather in different countries, because, you know, we've got the beauty of Zoom where they're dialing in and checking in from all over the world. So
Can I just ask, can you post that other poetry thing in the comments for me and for everyone, please? If that's
yeah, Insight Poetry.
Yeah, where I can find that. I think I might have found it, but I just want to make
It's
sure.
Insight, INCITE. Ben, would you be able to post a link to Insight Poetry in the chat, please?
Sure, on it now.
It's INCITE, Insight Poetry.
No, wrong one. I spelled INSIGHT poetry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just shared in the chat.
Cool, thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, it's us gays, isn't it? We have to be different in everything we do. Spell insight the way we want to spell it. But yeah. Got some good news. So last time I told you that I've been nominated for a National Diversity Award. And now for Positive LGBT Role Model, and now it's been confirmed. I've been shortlisted, so it's going to happen in February. Yeah, February in Liverpool. So it'll be my first time going to Liverpool. So yeah, hopefully win and take an award home for us. That'll be good, isn't it?
Love it up there.
Yeah.
Can we have a round of applause for that, actually?
All right, thanks, Ben. Yeah, massive round of applause for me. For a National Diversity Award. And a massive round of applause for the Lantern Carrier and everyone else who nominated me as well, because, yeah, massive round of applause. Cool. Yeah, this is a quick break. Has 10 minutes gone yet? How is everyone feeling? Is everyone having a good time? Poetry is quite heavy, it really is. And I think everyone here who's on the list sharing their words with you can tell you that it's really therapeutic, and it's really useful to write how we feel, because we go through a lot and we do find different outlets. You know, for me, I used to just go to a gay club and party and dance, and especially now that we can't really go to those places, I found that writing has helped. Although I've only started writing since 2014, but yeah, it's helped me process some of the things that I've been through and stuff, and a lot of it's quite heavy. So yeah.
I'm Trina.
And
yeah.
Trina,
Joe. Sorry.
Hello, Alex is about to lose his battery actually, but we're both obviously here from Childline. So just wanted to say like a massive thank you to you for helping us the other day when you did a really inspiring talk with Ashley. That was brilliant. We had so much feedback just of all the positivity that you gave in that speech. But for this evening as well, and donating to Childline, but like just hearing everyone's poetry, it's not something I would normally like sort of log into or listen to, but it's really powerful. I've enjoyed so far, and I'm really looking forward to hearing the next poets as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And I was checking to see, because I was checking to see whenever anyone says about donating, putting the link in the chat, I always suddenly get all these notifications from PayPal saying, you've got money, you've got money, you've got money. So while that's been going on, I've been adding it up as well. And from the OutSavvy ticket sales, so far, it works out to be about £72 so far. Yeah, and we haven't finished yet. So even if it doesn't reach 100, I will put it up to 100 just to round it up. But we still have time because people have been donating from I've been sending the link out this week. And obviously people have paid today while they've been in. So about £72 so far, but yeah, excellent. So I'm glad you're enjoying the event. And yeah, the talk with Ashley, I think Ashley's going to post it somewhere as soon as he can get it onto, because the file's quite big, isn't it? It's quite a long video.
Yeah, he's been on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, as soon as he gets it onto YouTube, I will share it all over the place as well.
Andrina, I want to ask if it's possible, like, to make like a spreadsheet where everyone can like have their Insta, their Twitter, or whatever, so that we can stay in touch.
Yeah, as if I don't do enough already. A spreadsheet.
No. I mean, like I can start it. I can make it like for the ones that I've seen already, so that everyone can stay in touch and like give it to you, so that you can promote it. Like, I don't know.
Maybe.
I say, do you know what? I like that suggestion. However, I don't want any more work to do. So I think what the best thing to do is
for everyone to help themselves.
Follow Poetry LGBT on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. It's at Poetry LGBT. Everyone who comes to Poetry LGBT, if they're on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, they usually follow us anyway. And we follow them back. I don't know how else. I'm just kind of just thinking out loud quickly to avoid doing that piece of work that you're trying to assign to me right now, Justin.
I wasn't trying to assign it. Like, sorry if it came out that way.
Yeah, and do you know what? We don't save the chat either. So the chat gets deleted. My spreadsheet, clipboard with all the names on every time, that gets put in the shredder straight after the event. So we don't save it anywhere, and the chat doesn't get saved. So do scroll through the chat. If there's someone that you want to follow straight away, I see there's a lot of Instagram handles in there. Follow them straight away. Or, if you're using your phone for Zoom, let's resort to old-fashioned pen and paper. Write that stuff down. Write that stuff down for later. When you come off your phone, add them on socials. Yeah, or screenshot. Screenshot, G just said.
One thing that we could also do, I'm about to share the links to Poetry LGBT this event for Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So if you do want to share it with other people on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, you can just reply to that post as well. Just at least you can keep in touch with whoever you want to keep in touch, especially after this event, since the chat is not going to be saved. So I'm just going to post the links now, just so you can all just add your Instas and your Facebooks and your everything you want to share.
See, isn't Ben Ellis wonderful? See, that's what we do. We
always happy to help.
Yeah, we come up with ideas to help each other out. So that's a good idea. So yeah, post in the event page on Facebook, put your where you can be found. Also in any posts on Instagram, put yourself in the comments. That's good as well.
Ben, I can't find you with the hashtag BKABD on Insta. But...
Oh.
Ben, your Insta handle.
Yeah,
I'd be gonna double check that.
From what I can see, but I can't find your one.
You know what? You're completely right. That is completely not my username. So I'm just gonna change that now. But thank you.
So I just thought I'd mention it.
Thanks.
Excellent. I was going to ask you, Ben, but I thought, you know what? We change our names and our numbers and our handles all the time. Let me just not be nosy on this occasion. Right, let's get back to the poetry. Manny the artist, you are up next. Let me just mute everyone and spotlight Manny. Go for it, Manny.
Hi, can you all hear me? Okay, so first I just want to start by saying that I'm bringing out a project this year. It's called Beauty Within the Cracks, and it comes out on the 18th of September. And Hayden, who you heard from earlier, is also featured with me on a piece, so look out for that. I won't be raising money for it this week. I usually do, but I'm not going to do it this week because I feel like all the money should go to Childline, so I'll do it again at the next event. So today I'm going to read 3 pieces for you today. The first is a monologue that I did back at uni a few years ago. So I hope you guys enjoy. And it's called Do You Want to See Me Broken? When you spend so long trapped in darkness, you find that the darkness begins to stare back. Do you want to see me broken? Beautiful and kind. Words are just labels. Beneath all the description is a person, not an object for you to bully, pull strings. It don't matter about their race or about their sexuality. Just let them be them. A word, powerful enough to kill someone's inner being. A word, when used in the wrong context, can be devastating. I wish they didn't judge you. I wish they loved you. I wish they would just support you. People stare quickly with their eyes that pierce as it burns my insides, so strong and so fierce. Their glances are the arrow and their tongue is the bow. They shoot quickly at me, its speed does not slow. Thank you, that's my first piece. My second piece is called Emotions, and I actually finished this piece today and sent it for mental health and also to do with young people speaking out more about their mental health. So this is it. We never really know what happens in a person's home. We can't really know what happens when someone is alone. What's going on in their minds? People are crying and waiting for a rainbow to shine through. Also bright, a glimmer of hope. After seasons of so much rain, so much downpour of emotions running out, leaving people also dry. It's a heartbreak that people suffer daily, waiting for the beautiful rainbow to come. Not 1 in a million, there are far too many people suffering. Not 1 in 1,000, people find it hard to speak out about their mental health. There is only 1 small percent there are people out there who are victims and never gave their consent. People are crying and waiting for a rainbow to shine through. Also bright, a glimmer of hope. After seasons of so much rain, so much downpour of emotions running out, leaving them also dry. Time to speak out. Speak up. Take your time. This is your floor, and we're here to listen to your story. Thank you. And my final piece is off my new project. I'm still editing it, but I just want to leave you on this one. So I hope you guys have had a good time so far. Labels, so much judgment, so much stigma. Will we not even try to understand, to hold out our hand, to come alongside, to help people when they have fallen? Words of comfort, love and support, words of love and encouragement to people who feel like they've failed. So much labels, so much judgment, so much stigma. Will we not even try to understand, to hold out our hand? To people who are ill, who feel alone, cold and bruised, whose tormenting thoughts are a living hell. Labels, judgment, stigma. Will we not even try to understand, to hold out our hand? To the lost teen, caught up in the dark world downward spiral of addiction, where escape from life is so appealing to them. Labels, judgment, stigma. Will we not even try to understand, to hold our hand? To the homeless child, to the homeless kids, without any money, and every day is a constant struggle for them. Labels, judgment, stigma. We will not even try to understand, to hold our hand, to the child in the classroom who feel like they don't fit in, to someone who is trying to be themselves every day, but is getting bullied for it. Labels, judgment, stigma. We will not even try to understand, to accept, to comfort, to love everyone, despite their story and their journey. To hold our hand, to open our ears, to open our eyes. Whatever your story is, no judgment with me, be the change. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed my pieces.
Where can we find you, Manny?
Find me on Instagram at Manny_Harmony11, and if you want to hear more about my projects, then follow me on Instagram, and I'll be doing a lot of stuff over August. So keep watching.
Thank you. Can we get another massive round of applause for Manny the artist? Next, I'm going to call to the virtual screen Marco.
Hi guys. Hi. So today I want to read 3 things. I'll start with a farewell note to someone, followed by a poem from the beginning of that relationship, and end with something very short and much lighter. So the first one, epilogue 2 of 3. So this is the end. My last photos of you were telling. There are no more poems coming, nor absurd fantasies of making songs. It was lopsided. I liked Love You More. Not that I ever expected something back, as it was very clear from the very beginning. In any case, I had very low expectations. I accepted you for who you are, admired from afar and up close. I looked past your vocalized insecurities as I never believed them. I was quite happy, so puzzled how you were so accepting, appreciative, and sweet. Politeness is the worst. It's deceit disguised as kindness and acceptance. Maybe you've mistaken my openness and availability as passivity. Probably counted that as a flaw in my list. I feel it's a bit unfair that I look past your curiosities and behavior, accepting you as you are, when it seems every time you reflect on Sunday, you were ticking boxes on what's unfixable about me. I always thought the day went amazing and beautiful. It's sunny day, Sunday. It felt like a test. How did I do in your week? Will I make it in the next one? Did I do too much or too little? This isn't neediness or clinginess, just reality. It's the nature of the roller coaster week after week. I feel it's a bit unfair. To be able to open up, yet be judged for who I am while I say or share. It takes a lot of trust and courage to be comfortable and just be, to be vulnerable, to love and air and admit them. Regardless, you're free to feel, think, say, or decide anything. Thank you for being less ambiguous in the very end. So the second one is called words. You have a way with words. You could ramble on about anything and everything, and I can just listen. Actually, each time I would listen intently, so I myself don't get lost in the beautiful wonder. I love it. Only with you I can have a conversation that crosses curious rivers of the left and right hemispheres. An exchange about art flowed into futuristic possibilities, then ebb on to enlightenment. You have a way with words that stops me on my tracks and comfort me when I need it, even when I'm not where so. I feel the warmth of your soul in your thoughtful words, like a loving embrace full of wisdom beyond your ears. You have a way with words, even for those that are not unspoken. Each line, each tone, they draw me ever so close. Would I dare be so bold? I would love to take those words off your lips and onto mine, off your heart and onto mine. And the last one is called Macrocosm. It's inspired by paint drips from my canvas. See things that aren't there, know things that never were, for beauty is in the eyes of those who dare. Wander off the canvas, make stories to behold. For life is fickle, so just be brave, be bold. Thank you. You can find me, I'll put it in chat, my inactive Instagram.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any drawings for us this time?
Oh no, I'm not on my desk right now.
Everyone loved the drawings that you did last time. They absolutely
you.
loved them. Can we get another massive round of applause for Marco? Beautiful poem there. No, Otto, no, are you ready? Wave at me, no. No. Excellent. Let me mute everyone, unmute you. Unmute yourself, no, and spotlight. Go for it.
Thank you. It has been lovely to hear all of your poems. I'm gonna read you one, which is one I wrote when I was writing my thesis, and I questioned why I was writing such a thesis, and then it came in one go, and I decided not to edit it, even if I could, because it's too long and full of mistakes. But it talks about misogyny and racism, and those are systems which are not made more digestible for me, so I also wanted my poem to reflect that. I hope you enjoy it. I write for all the girls who may have wanted to pull on their braids as hard as possible to make them longer. I write for all the women who've been called bitches and told to shave their hair if they did not want to receive comments, who've been blamed for someone else's view on them. For all women who've been exhausted, for all young adolescent women who felt ugly, inadequate, unlovable, who've been asked, if you have that on your head, what do you have down there? For all women who've been told their hair wasn't proportionate to their bodies, who've been told they were pretty, but their hair was a pity. For all women who've been told to their hair when their hair was done already. For all girls who've been convinced they should look different to be pretty. I write for all girls who hid from comments from bullying in the toilets of their primary schools. I write for all girls who looked at the mirror and wondered why they looked the way they did. I write for all the women who have felt like they had to become exotic in order to be attractive. For all the women who have felt like their attractiveness was linked to their otherness because they thought they were utterly ugly and could be beautiful only when considered to be dirt. This is for all the girls who have been unprotected by family and friends. This is for all the girls who were alien in their communities, alien in their own bodies, aliens of all places, with nowhere to call home, ashamed of their names, unable to find support. This is for all the girls whose image was celebrated when it was fake, when it was not really them, when they were imitating someone else. This is for all the girls who might have looked at a wig and were ready to trade their hair for it. This is for all the girls who have felt like those who told her she was ugly were the only ones being close enough to speak the truth. This is for all the girls who justified racism through self-hatred. This is for all the girls who surroundings laughed when they were crying. For all the girls who could not cry, for all the girls who drowned from the inside. This is for all the girls who had to pretend they were happy to look different, but all they wanted was to not look at all. This is for all the girls whose head was hurting when their hair was brushed, who looked at the TV and wondered why their hair couldn't look like the one of the woman in the advertisement, who had a love-hate relationship with that doll because they knew it was the one who most looked like them, but also thought it was the ugliest. This is for all the girls who have been called liars for saying their truths, For all the girls who have been told to keep their mouths shut. This is for all the girls who hid their hair when they were photographed in the morning. For all the girls who knew too soon they had to hide. This is for all the girls who left the house feeling pretty and came back convinced they couldn't trust their judgment. This is for all the girls who have wanted to be eaten by the ground because of how they looked. This is for all the women who did not dare to go to breakfast in their kitchen before putting their hair in a ponytail. What would their housemates say? This is for all the girls who wanted to be white. This is for all the girls who claimed to be white when they were not. This is for all the girls whose blackness was denied. This is for all the girls who were told they were something they were not. This is for all the girls who thought love could be bought through blue eyes and blonde hair, who learned family could be bought through whiteness. This is for all the girls who felt alone. Their hair was too voluminous. Compare their hair to a ball, to a poop, to a palm tree. This is for all the girls who were told their skin looked like piss. For all the girls who preferred not understanding. This is for all the girls who have been afraid of losing their job because of how their hair looked. For all the women whose employer has tried to control how their hair looked. For all the women who have gotten a job because of how their hair looked. This is for all the women who have been asked to repeat thrice where they were from. For all the women who have received frown eyebrows when they said where they were from. For all the women who have been presented as being from all over the world, or as being as from that faraway place, as being not from here when they were in their hometown. For all the women whose shade of color has been measured. I write this for Sarah Bartman. I write for all the women who have been called by names on the streets, by names of artists, of pop singers, of footballers, because they were placed in the same category. I write for all the women who did not fit any, for all the in-betweens, without a space, with no space. I write for all the women who were told thank you for all the support when they had not supported, that were confused with someone else because Becky could not differentiate between two Black women. I write for all women who were mistaken so many times, so many times, so many times. I write for all the women who were confused at how they looked, who questioned their sanity. I write for all women whose reality felt untrue. I write for all the women who have felt anxious in their bodies because of their bodies. I write for all the women who created a distance between themselves and their bodies. I write for all the women who have been asked how they wash their hair, who have been asked if they could cut their hair, who have been told to go somewhere else because here they wouldn't cut their hair. I write for all women whose scalp was touched by strangers. I write for all the women who were told they took too much space, who were told they should move because the other couldn't see, who were told the guy behind them would have a problem. I write for all the women whose back hurt because of how cramped up they were in their seats. I write for all women who had to shave their hair to learn to love themselves. I write for all women who were asked why their hair looked the way it did, for all women who were asked why they wore their hair the way they did, for all women who were expected to want to wear their hair differently, for all women whose hair had to have an explanation, for all women whose presence has to have an explanation. I write for all the women who had to be legitimized by whites to believe what they said was true. I write for all women who were told they were not Black enough. I write for all women who have been told they were too angry. For all women who have been told they were too political. For all women who were told they were still young and that's why they were angry. I write for all women who felt illegitimate to talk about what they knew. For all women who have been said to be moralistic. For all women who have been made to feel guilty for someone else's guilt, white guilt. I write for all women that smiled when they were angry. For all women who said yes when they meant no. I write for all women who are expected to educate. I write for all women who educated when they did not want to. For all women who took emotional work they didn't have to. I write for all women who were told their issue didn't exist, that they created it by talking about it. For all women who were afraid of making a fuss when dealing with what they knew they needed to deal with. A big deal out of nothing, who were told they should not complain. I write for a woman who felt like dogs, who've been touched like they were animals, who've been touched when they asked not to be repeatedly. For a woman who've been asked if someone could touch their hair again and again and again and again and again and again. No. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Wow. Wow. So many of those statements resonated so much with me. Wow. Where can we find you?
I'll write it on the chat. I'm mostly only on Facebook, actually. Yeah, I'm only on Facebook and email. I'll write it. I'll be happy to hear what you said about the text if you want to share. Thank you for listening. It was lovely to share it with you.
Thank you. Can we get a massive round of applause? Yeah. I think there's another PJ breathing moment coming on. Breathe deep. Deeply in and deeply out. The lantern carrier. Where are you? There you are. Right.
In memoriam, a tribute to John Lewis. Paul the Apostle, in his letter to the Corinthians, said that Christ died so that others may live. Fast forward to the 21st century, and John Lewis lived so that others too would live. He lived to show us that when tenacity or perseverance is strong, man can even conquer state-sponsored betrayals, that the highest ideals of liberty, equality, justice, and the pursuit of happiness is worth fighting for. John Lewis lived to show us that when resolve is steady, then it is possible and achievable to fight against bigotry and oppression with a strong spirit of love and goodness. John Lewis showed that no iron bars could imprison the spirit, that a more inclusive America with its richness of diversity and culture would be a lot stronger. He was a man aroused from youth, and so while listening to a Sunday speech by Martin Luther King Jr., John felt the song of freedom suddenly called to him. A gentle, unassuming, and self-giving man, John Lewis treated everyone with dignity and respect, simply because it was natural or innate to his character. He sometimes went to jail for speaking out, but was passionate about righteousness, self-respect, believing by faith that if the cause was just, then we should all hold to our purpose and conviction. John Lewis lived to show us that the spirit of ahimsa, of activism through non-violence, was but a powerful vehicle for necessary change. He believed in humans. Even when the struggle was at its most intense, he helped many to overcome their fears and insecurities, their hatred and division, to increase their sense of self-worth and fortitude. When this black son of Alabama, USA, was being buried, there was a double rainbow over the casket. No surprise for a man with the unshakable conviction that hate and fear had to be answered with love and hope. Lewis was granted the Medal of Honor by Obama in 2011, and the John Lewis Voting Rights Act ensures that each American has a right to choose who they wish to represent them. Lewis's clarion call, "Get in good trouble, necessary trouble, and help redeem the soul of America," was repeated several times at his funeral. He wrote an essay just before his death. "We're all complicit when we tolerate injustice," Lewis wrote. "Each of us has a moral obligation to stand up, and speak out. In my life, I have done all I can to demonstrate that the way of peace, the way of love and nonviolence is the more excellent way. Now it is your turn to let freedom ring. The long march is not yet over. The race is not yet won. One must still be alert to the crimes of evil upon the necks and hearts of all innocent men and women, regardless of the race, color, culture, or creed. No farewell, John Lewis. We shall listen as your heart sings and the sunset prepares flowers for another rising dawn. We will grieve and lament with funeral songs and fiery speeches, yes. While you dance with shooting stars, hold the scepter of Jesus the Christ in the New Jerusalem. We shall hear the bugles blow and trumpets call as you rise again in the haven of the beyond, chanting Alleluia to our Lord. Thank you. An auditor, the lantern carrier.
Can we find you, Lantern?
I shall have to write it down for you, as usual.
Thank you. Your words are so calming. Can we get another massive round of applause for the lantern carrier who carries their light, Shines the light everywhere. Wow. I know we're getting tired now, aren't we? We're getting tired. The round of applause is going a bit weak. We're getting tired. Usually at our live events and during the break, I go around handing out sweets to everyone, and that's just to get everyone's energy up. But yeah, get your own sweets at home. No, not really. That just came out so wrong. Can we get another massive round of applause for the lantern carrier, please? Chandog, where are you? Excellent. I don't know how I missed you. You've got all those bright lights going on in the background. Oops, hang on. I'm gonna spotlight you right now.
Hello.
Go for it.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey everyone, I'm Chandog. I'm a mental health awareness campaigner. I'm on a little mission to spread peace, love, positive vibes and mental health awareness by connecting to people through music, humour and poetry. This is my campaign, Chandog's Vibe Band. Oh, sorry, it's on reverse. I'll post it in the comments anyway. But I'll go straight to it. This is a poem about mental health, so it comes with a trigger warning. It comes with a trigger warning about suicide and mental health and all that sort of stuff, so we'll go straight into it. Well, mental illness. You have a lot to answer for in my life. You were responsible for much of my troubles and strife. I remember those times at school I went red in class. Several times you knocked me on my ass. All the self-doubt, the self-loathing and hate. What about the times you made me late when I didn't want to leave my bed because you left me consumed by dark thoughts inside my head? You even made me wish I were dead. Mental illness, you made me live in total fear, tried to alienate myself from those whom I hold dear. I spent all of my savings, suffered with irrational cravings. So I turned to drugs, I turned to booze. Mental illness, you left me so confused. You made me feel like such a cripple. Mind resembled a raspberry ripple, all twisted and cold, especially when depression took hold. You made me feel like the bad guy, that my entire life was a total lie. I no longer felt like a proper man and just fumbled through life without a plan. Mental illness, what did you do to me? Tore me down, destroyed me, brought me to my knees, made me envisage myself dangling from trees. Even wish I were never born. Or were you in fact the start of a brand new dawn? When tragedy struck, I began to give a fuck that in the life I was living, there was not enough giving. I went to a shrink, he wasn't sure what to think, until I began to remove my shell and confess living in my head was total hell. They labelled me bipolar, you know, the old manic depressive. Could that be what made me feel so aggressive? After a few more sessions but no life lessons, they said I needed medication. I'd have to take it with utmost dedication. Well, I felt like a lab rat. I even started to get fat. I couldn't do this anymore. It was becoming a total bore. So when I refused, they were rather bemused. And they discharged me. Was I set free? No, I was on my own. I'd never felt so alone. Thankfully, Mum helped me find private therapy. If not mental illness, you might have ended me. I began to peel back the layers, like on onions. So much torment, like 1,000 bunions. I spewed out the pain, I had everything to gain. Gradually, the therapy started to help, and I began to feel like less of a useless whelp. So, I got a new job, even accepted, I like knobs, so I came out as gay. It's the 21st century, surely that's okay. Well, despite that, some people may want to beat my head. Worse still, in some places, make me dead. I don't care, it's a risk I was willing to take. I was done living in that closet as a total fake. I turned a corner, became self-aware, and wanted to live life with a lot more care. There were people worse off than me who need support, which I would try and give without a second thought. What once made me feel pathetic actually made me more empathetic. I was becoming stronger. I could see hope that I could live life longer. I learned some new skills and began to live well without those pills. So I took flight on a new trajectory like a dove and embraced life again, now filled with love. I bought a van, now travel around with a newfound plan as a mental health awareness campaigner, no longer feeling like a total failure. Mental illness. You once had power over me. No longer though, because you set me free. There we go. That was my mental health poetry monologue. So thank you very much for listening.
Where can we find you? Chandog, where can we find you?
I flashed my campaign flyer here, but it's Chandog's Vibe Van's my campaign. It's a mental health campaign. I actually just won an award, which I'm very happy about. So it's the Delivery Rider Award. They pay me to drive around playing music, making people smile and dance in the street, and also draws attention to the campaign on my van. So I'll post it in the comments anyway. So
Thank you.
Everyone, peace, love, and positive vibes.
Where do you do your campaigning?
All over the UK, but yeah, I've moved to Gloucestershire, so I'm kind of based here now. It's the area where I've got the most kind of media publicity for the campaign and stuff. So yeah, so I'm based in Gloucestershire now.
That's brilliant. Can we get a massive, massive round of applause for Chandog, please? Justin, I think I see what you mean about the spreadsheet. Did you say you were typing them up?
I'm going through the chat from the very beginning. So if you haven't written your like contact information, I was gonna like write it there in the spreadsheet. So I'm going through it so that it is there, if you have it.
Because that's such a brilliant idea, because I was thinking all the links and everything, I'm not sure if you can copy and paste from the chat, but if you were to create something while this is happening, then we can share your screen at the end to say this is where everyone can be found, and then I'll keep it on the screen for a couple of seconds, because I just remembered. Let me just mute everyone. I just remembered that it's being recorded, isn't it? So it would be useful to have all of that follow information on the screen, isn't it? Yes. Justin, you're amazing. You do the work. I can delegate. I know how to delegate work. How about that? Excellent. So next we're going to call to the virtual screen Ron. Ron, can you wave? Excellent. I'm gonna unmute you and spotlight. Go for it, Ron.
Thank you very much. I'm going to read two poems. The first one is called Guilty, and there's a couple of trigger warnings for this. It mentions religion, mental health, and also there's a mention of abusive relationships, and there's a little bit of swearing right at the end. So it's really quite short. You wouldn't think I could get that much in a short poem, but there you go. Guilty. I thought for many years that I had escaped the Catholic guilt because I didn't feel guilty about anything, especially not the things I was supposed to feel guilty for, like having sex without being married. Eventually, the penny dropped, or it caught up with me. It seemed I had not outrun it after all. The guilt does not have to be about anything. It's just guilt for existing at all, for having the nerve to be here. The sinking feeling that everything is probably my fault. The way an abuser makes you feel. The worm in the apple, planted deep in the soul, to keep me enthralled to that great invisible abuser who can fuck right off. Thank you. Just get the other poem up. The second one is called Education Blues, and it's about another sort of penny dropping kind of thing. I wrote this last year where I remembered something that helped me make a lot of sense about a very bad time in my life when I was 19 and I was a student and everything went a bit pear-shaped. So I would say for this one, trigger warning for trauma, mental health. Yeah, that's pretty much it really. It doesn't explain in the poem exactly what happened, but it could be applicable to a lot of different trauma, so I better trigger warning it. Okay, education blues. Remember something not exactly forgotten, but buried deep perhaps in the sand inside your head, with all its dangerous wires disconnected so it can't explode. But it can. And you won't know when. So when it pops up without warning 40 years later, and you trace those connections again, realize where they used to leave, see your whole adult life differently, expect it to be confusing, hurtful, disorienting, angering. Expect to cry with grief for your younger self, who did not live in a world where this thing seems unreasonable, as some of us do now, who had no way of expressing dissent or a lack of consent, no means of preventing it, of derailing that whole train. So instead, it derails the whole train of you, leaving debris all over the tracks for you to trip over in years to come, not understanding how or why, because the thing you buried is buried, remains disconnected, until you put the pieces back together. So you think it's you that broke for some reason, your mental health that let you down, instead of that you coped the best you could. You did what you needed to. You stuck it out somehow, fished out of water, got your degree, got out of there, never went back. And I do grieve for the plans I had, for the train that got cancelled, blew up. So I had to go on foot instead, or on hands and knees, caught a bus, thumbed a lift, went places on my own somehow. Not the same places, but other places, harbouring envy, resentment, regret, but not until now understanding why. Thank you. Thanks very much. That's
Vron,
it. That's me done.
Where can we find you, Vron?
I'll put it in the chat, but it's at Vron_Chariot on Twitter, and I'm Vron McIntyre on Facebook, and at Mahitabel00 on Instagram. I'll put it all in the chat anyway. And I'm calling in from Nottingham.
Excellent. Can Vron get another massive round of applause, please?
Thanks very much.
Another heavy and triggering poem. It is, it's deep, you know. I hope like all the children who watch this can get some sort of strength from us and see what we're dealing with and know that they can still be, that's it. You know, because we're carrying our stuff and we're still here, we're still surviving, thriving, we're still doing our bits, you know. It gives other people hope to know that we are survivors, and we're survivors of many things, you know. Once we get through this pandemic, for example, we would have all survived the pandemic, you know. It's huge. No, it's huge when you look at it like that. It's huge. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Next, I'm gonna call Nicole Cyrus. Nicole. Let me just mute everyone and then unmute you. Unmute yourself, Nicole.
Oh, for real? I didn't think you put me on the thing today.
Oh, G's got you on the list.
I can do it. It's all right. I just wasn't prepared. It's okay.
Sorry.
It's all right. Give me 1 second.
Hey. She's gone in the
yeah,
bedroom.
it's all right. I'll just get it up. Hold on. What am I listening for? Just it's like a, just say this is a little interval technical difficulty or something. In fact, you know what's so much easier? Right, the wonders of technology. Sorry.
Don't worry, Nicole. If you're not ready, I'll do one. I'll do one, and then by the time I've finished, you'll be ready for yours. Does that help?
Yeah, I mean, I've got it now, so it's up to you. You can still.
Okay, go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so spontaneous poetry moments are wonderful. Thank you, Adrina, for helping me through the.
I'm gonna tell off G right now. I'm going to tell her off.
Okay. Yeah, so this one, it's just one short poem. It's called D. D-A-D, laid out on the page. Here within my simplistic utterance lay caged those sounds within the first 4 letters of the alphabet, murmured solemnly in one-syllable tones that trickle off the lips, spreading through the foliage that sways at the tips of my tongue, like the tenderness of the morning breeze, finite and resolute, humbling yet authoritative, driven and conforming, yet fear-stricken. Those 3 letters ground the first formative modes of language that an infant will learn, with their eager minds grasping at mere sounds and rhythmic bursts of the vocal cords before their synapses bury them into their linguistical forms, impregnating their brains with the magnitude of the decadence and thematic conundrums of the English language, forcefully achieving the pronunciations of the alphabetic form in their brains. D-A-D burns the rhythmic drums of its consonants into their eyes. D-A-D scars the importance of its vowels into their minds. D-A-D haunts the images of its context into their lives. D-A-D flickers on my screen with the echoes of its expectation, the innocent shell-shaded shivers of the text alert, greens and blues that blur behind its stagnation. D-A-D punctuates my life with its repression, the don't show, don't tell manifestations of a Jamaican household. D-A-D incapacitates my mind with its unfulfilled expectations, borrowed lips, hums, and disassociations. D-A-D marks my device with its alienation, with shouldered packed hugs and seat-levied knee-class distances. D-A-D echoes my failures into the moment, stunts me inside the hint-filled glances of the person I chose to be, vacuumed out behind the facades of a business mind, plagued by the mirages of a corporate spine. D-A-D haunts the blank screen of my device, mystifies itself behind the gleam of the fluorescent light, parading itself by the darkly vacant images of the world existed in reflection, the hollowed out spaces of the outlines of my rejections. D-A-D flickers on the screen once again, and the months that have passed with my silent cycling beneath my pen, I consume myself by the repetition of his messages, numbed by the buzz of technology's hum, fidgeting by the silence of my untold wants, the chasms of spaces between his messages, let me know he's trying, goad me by the realities of the present. The rationale of a relationship matured around expression, curved dinners, film-blinded chit-chats and pride-drenched cycle-raced rivers. D-A-D has been sounded at 6 times this month, spiked-out phrases relayed in my mind behind the defecating hums and ahas. D-A-D should have been written to, draft notes CC'd, and keyboards frantically tapped on. D-A-D is a field of expression I'm relentlessly synthesizing myself on. D-A-D, that's the mirage of a man I've been spending my whole life trying to become. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Where can we find you, Nicole?
Nicole R. Cyrus at Instagram.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Can we
I
get
think-
another massive round of applause for Nicole?
Thanks.
I did speak to G just now. She told me that it might have been another Nicole that was on the list. I'm so sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I always like coming to these events. It's all right. It's good to share.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Right. Somebody has emailed me a poem that they would like to share. They're from Manchester and they've emailed me a poem. So I'm going to share my screen. I do have it on my screen. Who wants to volunteer to read it? Can we get any volunteers to read this poem? How about I share the screen first so you can see the poem and then you can decide if you want to read it or not. All right, hang on. Okay, it's called The Polychromatic Generation. And this is it.
I'm happy to read if needs be.
Who's that? Stanley?
Yep, I can read.
Yeah, go for it. Let me just read this bit, what they've said. So this poem is from Colin Richmond Hughes. He said, "Dear Poetry LGBT, I have emailed you this poem from Manchester." Hang on, I can hear G's laptop echoing. Let me just quickly close the door. Colin said, their name's Colin. "I identify as homosexual and gay. I write in a naive style in writing couplets. The poem is from my first book of poetry from the viewpoint of an older gay man who reflects on the gay community as it is at the moment, always changing. I write from the perspective of someone who lived through the first wave of the HIV and AIDS epidemic and all the many changes. 35 years on the Manchester gay scene and the observations experienced at first hand. The book was released in 7 countries and is my legacy that when I pass away, I have this left behind." So it's called The Polychromatic Generation. So Stanley, go for it. It doesn't all fit on the thing. So when you get down to maybe where it says NHS, I'm going to start moving it slowly like this, yeah? Okay.
Which? Okay. Yeah.
Hang on. I think I need to no, 1 second, 1 second. I'm going to mute everyone first. Ben, can you mute everyone? Because my mute doesn't seem to be working while my screen's shared.
Yeah, sure, I'll do that.
Everyone except Stanley. I'm going to mute myself.
Okay, I'm unmuted. So I'm just trying to, perfect, I can see it now.
Do you want me to enlarge it? Hang on, because I can go, is that better?
Yep, I can finish the screen, it's okay. Okay, so the polychromatic generation. A lesbian activist once said to me, "No more going underground to be free. At night, though we become what we want to be and escape the world of homosexuality." Back in the day, it was sufficient to say, "You're gay," but not with the modern young people today. Social media neologism implies the future is bleak. So they relabel themselves in which to seek more congruence with the skin they are in. True identity, via the scalpel or reps at the gym. No longer is it fashionable to be who you are. Everyone craves celebrity and be a little star. Shun the daylight and shine bright at night. Under the sequin rainbow, stand and fight. bespoke closets, the sexual metaphoric womb, as we step out from the shadows and gloom to a different time where the law permits gay marriage and divorced lesbians stick tape to their tits, transsexuals now transgender on the NHS, the religious bigots claim it's an unnatural mess, saposexuals love the mind but not physical sex. They are not interested in six packs and pecs. Heteroflexibility are straights who might oblige 6 cans of lager, they put their inhibitions aside. Bisexual, pansexual, or just plain confused. Get any of the new labels wrong, no one's amused. No more are we puffs, faggots, dykes, and ginger beer. Also very confusing that I'm becoming a mute queer. Natural, non-binary, and gender fluid are but a few. To have become a collection of constants, well, who knew? The LGBTQ collective that we seem to be today could take up 20 minutes just to say, one's gay. Okay, and that's from Colin Richmond Hughes.
Oops. Massive round of applause for Stanley for reading it and for Colin Richmond Hughes for writing it. Sounds like he's got years of experience to me in our community. I'm just checking the time. So we've just gone over a little bit. I'm going to squeeze in one more of my poems to end the session. It's called Be Proud with Pride. Let me just quickly mute everyone. Right, it's called Be Proud with Pride. Be proud and stand your ground. Walk around and make your sound. Wear your colours and stand out for hours. Wave the various flags. Try not to worry. Find your tribe. You're in good company. Shelter from the hate. Fight with all your might for what is your human right. They will see. It's all love and light. In time, we will all be all right. Love who we love. Marry who we marry. Don't apologize, no need to ever be sorry. We are who we are, just live and be happy. Thank you. So yeah, on that note, I want to give a massive round of applause. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I also want to say thank you to those of you who have donated to Childline through my PayPal and through the OutSavvy. While I've been on here, I've had a very generous donation from someone in the room who I won't say who it was, but 50 quid. Thank you very, very much. It's all adding up. So far, we're probably at about 130 quid by now, but I'm going to add it up some more. And then I will let everyone know.
I've got the info of everyone. I went through the whole chat history. I don't know if you would like me to share it. I've got only 18 people though.
That's okay. So what I'm going to do is read all the people who have been today, who have shared their words with us. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to put the links to where everyone can be found.
Okay.
I'm going to allow you to share your screen, yeah, to be able to do that. Right, so I'm going to read out all the names of everyone. I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us today for this Childline Pride Edition. Poetry LGBT is on the 1st and 3rd Sunday of every month. Thank you, Justin. Those are all the Instagram handles and Facebook, everyone where they can be found. So once I've got to the last name, which is Nicole Cyrus, no, it's not Nicole Cyrus, it is the poem from The guy in Manchester. What was his name?
Jova?
Eden?
Colin Richmond Hughes. That was it. Colin Richmond. Hughes. Read by Stanley, isn't it? Read. Stanley writes. Right, so after I've got to the last person, which is Colin Richmond Hughes, I want you all to make some noise and give a massive, massive, massive round of applause. So far we heard from, or tonight, this evening, we heard from Collie Ball, Stanley Wrights, Miller van der Have, Nadia Earlham, PJ Samuels, Missa Blue, Paul Lepper, Hayden Strawbridge, Jova Reyes, Justin Alvarez, Manny the Artist, Marco, Nur Otto, The Lantern Carrier, Chandog, Ron, Nicole Cyrus, and Nicole Cyrus, and Colin Richmond Hughes's poem, which was read by Stanley Wrights. Can we get them all a massive round of applause? Wow. Thank you so much. Justin, you can stop sharing your screen now. Thank you so much, all of you, for sharing your words, and those of you for tuning in to listen. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter at Poetry LGBT. Usually at the end, we've run a bit over time, but I'm still going to do it anyway. I check in with everyone just to say one word about how you're feeling right now. So if you're muted, so Michael Nastari, you're still on mute. Okay, you've unmuted. Stanley, G, J, Armel, you're all unmuted. So if you stay unmuted, then I'm not going to ask you your one word. So my one word, so I'm going to go across to who I see on my screen, yeah, in the order that I see them. So my one word today of how I'm feeling right now is optimistic. Optimistic. Chandog, how are you feeling right now? One word. What was your one word?
Inspired.
Inspired. Inspired. Justin?
Thankful.
Thankful. Lantern Carrier, your one word. Awesome. Awesome. Marco?
Vulnerable.
Vulnerable. Ka?
Community.
Community. Nur?
Connected.
Paul?
Alive.
Michael?
Familiar.
Nicole?
Grateful.
And Sophie?
Inspired.
Donna?
Grateful.
Manny?
Powerful.
Hayden?
Empowered.
Bron?
Welcomed.
Ben?
Thoughtful.
Thoughtful. Jova?
Relaxed.
You look quite relaxed there, actually. Quite chilled. Stanley?
Good.
GJ?
Nourished.
Nourished. Trust you to come up with nourished, my very own GJ. And Walkie?
Positive.
Positive. Excellent. I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead. We're back here in 2 weeks' time. This video has been recorded for Childline. I will save it at the end. It saves when the Zoom link is closed, and then I will pass it on to Childline or upload it onto somewhere and share it somewhere. So do look out for it. But thank you so much for sharing your words, and thank you so much for donating. Thank you so much. We've raised, it must be about 130 quid by now, but I am gonna round it up to the nearest 50 quid. So whatever it is right now, it'll be 150 by the time, probably, by the time I add it all up. So yeah, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
give yourselves
Thank
a round of
you.
applause. Give yourselves a round of applause. Give Ben Ellis a round of applause. My DJ a round of applause. Everyone gets a massive round of applause here.
We should give you a round of applause as well.
Yeah, give me a round of applause as well. I love it.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Lantern. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, hang on 1 second. I think Noah wanted to say something.
It's just a question for you, like, until when do we have to donate?
Oh, well, I would say there isn't really a time, but I would like to add it up probably today or tomorrow and then send it on. So if you donate after that time, that's gonna come to me. So yeah, I say tomorrow. I say tomorrow midnight. How about that?
Great.
Tomorrow midnight is the cut-off time, and then any donations after that come straight in. Thank you so much.
Thank
And do you
you.
know what? I just have to say, like, I always feel like this event helps me to just get through the next week and the next week after that. Like, it almost feels like, I don't know, like energy boost or something. I don't know how to say, but like, it just reminds me that we do have an LGBT community, even if it doesn't feel like it sometimes. And if it doesn't feel like it outside, it definitely feels like it here for me at Poetry LGBT. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Thank you.
And
Thank
yeah,
you.
take care. Bye. 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 Bye.
Bye.
Bye.